So I was born in Germany to a German father and an Australian Scottish mother. I spent all my school years in Germany, went to university there to do my undergrad, and then I moved to Australia when I was 25 to pursue a master's in Melbourne, which is where I met Ben at a random party that we were both invited to. We were introduced to each other, and then I got stuck in Australia.
Well, happily stuck in Australia, where we lived for many years, and travelled back to Germany to see Tansy's family and friends. And then we moved much later to Singapore, and since we moved to Singapore, we've been able to travel back to Germany a lot more frequently, which has been wonderful.
I was born in Melbourne, Victoria, and I went to kindergarten and primary school there, and then we moved to Singapore, and I started at AIS in prep, and now I'm in year 3 and I'm 9 years old.
We moved to Singapore during COVID in 2020. Ella joined prep at the very end of prep, so for term 4, and I joined a little bit later, initially as a relief teacher in the ERV, and now I work in learning enrichment. So for us, one of the things, as you can see, so we are wearing the traditional Bavarian outfits called a Tracht. For the girls it's called a Dirndl, and for the gentlemen it's called a Lederhosen. So one of the ways we stay connected is we watch German TV shows, we listen to German radio. You want to say what our German radio station is, our favourite one? And we enjoy many German food options that we have available in Singapore. We found a great little German community here. We also have some great German friends. So we keep it all alive. We've got a really nice mix of Australian and German sort of communities that we're a part of.
And we can also find a lot of German products here in Singapore. Various markets and outlets sell German food that remind Tansy of home in Germany. And also when I go travelling for work, so I work for the United Nations, which is a very global organisation. I did get to travel a lot, and every now and then I get to go back to Europe, and when I do go there I make sure I stock up on German sweets and chocolates and other nice things.
We eat a lot of pork.
A lot of sausage.
So Germans obviously are carnivores. Most Germans are carnivores. So for us, it's really nice having access to German style meat through, like there's a Swiss butcher in Singapore that we love. And we cook a lot of Schnitzel is one of our favourites, so we'll have a Wiener Schnitzel at home. But we cook a lot of German, so we'll have German desserts. We do it's like a pancake thing that you have for breakfast, and it's fabulous. So it's one of Ella's favourite, Kaiserschmarrn, and we try and have it as often as we can.
And we also like to drink German beer when we can, and German wine and schnapps, not excessively, but just to enjoy the full experience. So, yeah.
I think for me, I already grew up very multiculturally because of my parents, and I think Australia is already quite multicultural, but what we really enjoy is being in an Asian community where we get to experience things that we've never experienced before. We go on little adventures, and we sort of have a little chuckle between the three of us because it's something that we wouldn't normally get to experience, and we're grateful for in Singapore that we get to do it in such a safe and happy way. Of course, there's the access to the rest of Asia, which is incredible for us. We've been on trips that we were certainly not on our agenda when we were planning for the future, but then Singapore came up, so yeah.
And when I was young, I didn't actually leave Australia until I was about 11 and went on a round the world trip with my family, which opened my eyes up to how amazing the world is and how diverse it is. But then I didn't travel again for another 20 or 30 years, and when we met, there was an opportunity to go travelling again, and I went back to Europe. And so one thing led to another, and I now work for the United Nations, and I do a lot of travelling. And one thing I do appreciate very much about living and working in Singapore is the diversity, where you actually understand how much we all have in common, but you also appreciate and value the differences. And I think we've learned to, I guess, live and work and be successful in a new cultural setting, but it's also a really good platform for us to travel through the rest of Asia, as Tansy said, but also to get very quickly to Europe, because when we're living in Australia it took well over a day to travel all the way to Germany, but now it's possible within about 14 or 16 hours. So,
and I think also
closer.
AIS especially, there's that, you know, Ella has such a diverse group of friends and they come from all different nations, and it's really lovely because it gives you that sense of what being global actually means, and that she has friends all over the world now, and I think that's a wonderful legacy, and it's a wonderful childhood for her to have.
I like it. There's lots to learn here, and I love all of my classes and all of my friends here.
Tell us about those.
This is a pretzel,
In German we say Brezen.
and then this is a German type of dog called a Dachshund, which is quite short and has a long body, and some people in Australia call them a sausage dog for their long body. And
Yeah, and so in English, people often say dachshund or dachshund or
Dashi.
They give them all sorts of names, but actually it's Dackel. We say in Bavaria Dackel or ein Dachshund. And Dachshund means a dog that is bred for hunting badgers. So that's why they're bred so long and stumpy, because they can get into the holes.
And what do we do with pretzels?
What do we do with pretzels?
we eat them.
What's
With
the-
what?
Butter?
Yeah.
There's-
I'll be here for breakfast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why not?
I love that. Why do you think it's important to celebrate diversity and promote global mindedness in our school, Ella?
It's important to celebrate it pretty much every day, especially on what used to be called Ice Day but is now called Global Harmony Day.
Global Festival Day.
We're all learning.
But it's also important to celebrate our diversity and differences every single day.
How about you guys?
I think it's really important to embrace our culture and embrace our background. I think it explains a lot about who we are and how we function in the world, and how we maybe react to certain things. And so I think it's really important that we give that culture onto our children, but also they share it within their classroom and with their classmates, because we don't want to go back to the days where racism was just in every school. It's so unnecessary and it's so unhealthy, and I think that we're in a society now where diversity is embraced is really important.
I think it's important to understand and appreciate people's different cultural backgrounds, so we know more about them, and so we change our perception about them into a more positive way of looking at the differences, but also recognising the similarities. And I think this is really important to build a common understanding and work together towards peace and harmony and diversity and inclusion, which are all very, very important. And I really, really think that the more we do this, it's important obviously to celebrate on a particular day, but I think every day we should really challenge ourselves to think more openly and really challenge these unconscious biases that many of us have about different cultures. The more we learn about other people's culture, the more we'll understand, appreciate and respect them.
Global Festival.
Okay.
Yeah, on 3.
Right, that's fine. All right.
See you at the Global Festival. Cheers.